building a better Bay Area for a safe and secure future. This is ABC 7 News.
Hi there, I'm Kristen Z. Welcome to our daily program called Getting Answers. We're asking experts your question every day at 3 o'clock to get answers for you in real time. Joining us today to answer as many questions as possible in the time we have is spokesperson for the EDD, Lori Levy. Good to see you again, Lori. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, good to see you again, too. Thank you.
So I want to start with this, California's unemployment figures. So we just got word today that nationally last week, 1.3 million people filed for unemployment. What was it in California?
Well, unemployment insurance claims are a little different than the unemployment rate in the state. So the unemployment rate, the new rate for the last month in June, will be coming out next week. But here in California, we have filed more than 7 million claims for unemployment benefits since the pandemic began, and paid out just last week alone $3.7 billion in unemployment benefits, and that's more than $3 billion more than the worst week of the last Great Recession. So as you can see, there's just a massive demand for this type of financial assistance.
So is the volume that you're getting, that you're having to process, going down at all?
You know, the volume continues to be quite high. We're still doing, we're still getting a couple 100,000 claims each week. But however, I think what we're able to do is we're now be able to expand our capacity. As you know, when this hit, it was like an overnight perfect storm, right? So it was hitting at a time of record low unemployment. We had low staffing with the low funding. Now we have more funding. We are in a mass expedited hiring effort where we have hired or at least extended conditional job offers to more than 4,300 people to come on board and help us here at the EDD. So that capacity is growing quickly, and that's really helping in our ability to serve people, all those people who are in need.
Okay, I'm seeing a lot of questions flying in right now about extensions, specifically that $600, which I promise we'll get to in a little bit. And I want to explore what other help is coming. But Lori, I want to start with access questions, all right? Because the top question continues to be getting help. Is there a way to actually speak to someone? Because a viewer says they've tried every day for a month now from 8 to 12 o'clock and have yet to speak to anybody.
You know, and it's just so heartbreaking for us to hear that. We don't want to see people frustrated trying to get through the call center. We're getting a lot of massive redials. I think some people are using a system to automatically redial, and that is congesting the system. So what we're doing is we're attacking it in a couple of different ways. Number one, you can get assistance through some self-service type of means. And we want people to know that that's there for them. Sometimes, and in most cases, people don't have to talk to a representative. They can get their claim filed, a payment made, some of their most common questions answered through a number of other different ways. And hopefully, as we get more people on the phone lines, more staff here at the EDD, combined with as many people as possible using self-serve, that way those people actually have to talk to a representative will have a much easier time getting through.
All right, we have some viewer complaints that when they do reach somebody by phone, that the specialist is often ill-prepared to answer their questions. Why do you think that's happening?
You know, as part of this, what we had to do is expand very, very rapidly with this avalanche of demand that hit us overnight. So in order to do so, we did go ahead and contract for some vendor assistance with some call center trained staff, put them through some expedited training on unemployment insurance to help us at least get some assistance out there for people as we then finally started getting some money where we could start hiring. So it's quite possible some folks, you know, some of these vendor staff that came on board weren't as familiar with a lot of the information, but we continue to address that with extended training. All these different people are now hiring in for EDD, and we're doing a lot of new technology as well to help them with that knowledge and maintain that knowledge and assist people even more quickly and in an expedited way. So we continue to work on it. It's evolving daily.
Okay, I want to get back in a little bit to if there's a best number to call, that kind of thing, but I want to get to what additional help may be coming, because those questions are coming in. The $600 additional weekly payments under the CARES Act is set to expire, as we all know, July 25th. So what happens after that?
Well, after that, we are not authorized to pay any additional $600 on top of any weekly benefit amount someone might be eligible to receive. So obviously, there's a lot of discussions in Congress right now. Are they going to extend that? We don't have any word on that. So it just means that after the week ending July 25th, and we'll have more information in a news release, for example, next week. But at that point in time, we cannot add on an additional $600. It'll just be your normal weekly benefit payment that you are eligible to receive on its own.
Okay, depending on when you started getting your regular unemployment benefits, which run 26 weeks, I mean, at this point, let's say you were nearing the end of that when the pandemic happened, and then, you know, it's been 13 weeks. We're right about the time when people are starting to face, some people are getting nothing now, right? Or they're about close to it.
You know, I've got to tell you, I understand why so many people are confused about these extensions and so many of the different provisions that the CARES Act provided for people. It is really a truly complicated web. So generally speaking, here's how it works. Right now, if you exhaust your regular claim of 26 weeks, yes, if you're eligible, we can move you into a pandemic emergency unemployment compensation 13-week extension.
Right.
So that gives you some additional weeks. What we're doing now is that we are, as of July 1st, we're sweeping our system daily, identifying those who have run out of now of their PEUC extension, those 13 weeks. And as they do so, we will be sending out notifications to those individuals, telling them whether or not we can file a new Fed Ed extension for them. That means now a new additional 20 weeks of benefits. Or if we can't, we'll let you know that we're going to try to maybe get you into a pandemic unemployment assistance claim or get you back to one if you already had one started. Our whole goal here is to try to minimize any gap in collecting benefits as long as you remain eligible and unemployed and therefore eligible to receive those monies.
Right. So none of that is automatic, right? I mean, what do people need to do?
For the most part, we will get you into that next claim automatically if you're eligible, and you'll receive notice from us.
Okay.
We're trying to make this as easy as possible on you. However, like with all claims, you are required to certify every 2 weeks to your eligibility, answer those basic questions telling us you're still unemployed, and meet all the eligibility requirements to get your next benefit payment. So that's what you do have to do. Watch for an update on your UI Online and watch your mail for the latest notifications.
All right. So right now, Congress is discussing the HEROES Act. If that passes, what does that mean? What do people get? How many more weeks?
You know, we don't know.
Okay.
It is still grabs. We've gotten a lot of questions being sent to us from, some of the lawmakers and U.S. DOL, Department of Labor. We just don't know what it means yet. And as soon as we do get any word, and if anything becomes finalized, we'll certainly be getting that information out there to everybody just as quickly as possible.
What about the state? I read something about SB 811. Millions of unemployed Californians could get more weeks of jobless benefits as part of that budget deal that Governor Gavin Newsom struck with lawmakers. Can you tell us about how that might work and how it will kick in?
I'm not really familiar with any SB bill. What I can tell you is the budget bill, what it did do for us is it helped us meet some federal trigger standards on what our unemployment picture looks like. And what that does is maximizes the federal funding support. So instead of this Fed Ed extension, this additional weeks of benefits available, instead of that being a normal 13 weeks and split in terms of a cost between half of the federal government and half from state employers, it now means that we can make that extension 20 weeks and we can get 100% federal funding for those benefits, thereby providing some tax relief to state employers, specifically the tax-related ones, and even the reimbursable employers can get 50% of those costs back. So really, it was a win-win type of situation.
All right. Lori, I want to fold in some viewer questions right now. Linda Rothfield wants to know, if I end up working the census for a month, will I then be able to get an extension of benefits after that is done if I need them?
It all depends on whether you had a claim before you started that work or not. So I'd have to, we'd have to have a little bit more specifics on that case. But basically what we're asking, when you file for unemployment, we have to check to see how much in wages did you have in your last 18-month employment history. If there was enough wages there to support a claim, we'll file that claim for you. And then every 2 weeks, you have to certify your eligibility to us. And if you have any earnings in that 2-week period, you have to report that. And then we look at that and see if there's enough enough in wages there that might have to be deducted from any benefit payment you would be eligible to receive.
All right, Lori, we're going to take a short break on the air, but you can continue to watch this conversation via our live streams, Facebook Live right now. Be back in a couple minutes. All right, Lori, I want to ask you a question about access to help. I've heard that there are different numbers. For example, you have the 800 number, but you also have an 833 number, and there's discussion in various forums about which one is the best number to call in terms of actually being able to get help. What do you say to people?
It all depends on what your question is. So, for instance, we have a lot of experienced UI representatives, unemployment insurance representatives. They've been through months and months of training, and it takes that kind of training in order to be actually able to file and claim for someone. So they're the ones who are available through the typical 800 line, and then we have them processing claims in the afternoon that come in through other ways. The 833 fund number, is one we set up in this pandemic that goes 8 to 8, 7 days a week. And that's for some more typical general questions, helping people, with their password on the UI online account, with some more technical assistance. So it really all depends on what your question is. Mm-hmm. What we are working to do is to consolidate that into one virtual call center platform, which is going to make it so much easier for us to serve customers, and a lot easier too for us to be able to provide the kind of service we know that a lot of people are looking for when they call us.
Okay, Gary Putman wants to know, do you need to look for work with the stay-at-home order in effect to get the 13 weeks extra when you run out of your 26 weeks? As of now, you don't have to say you are. What's the answer?
Long and short of it, on the certification, you do have to respond to that question. Are you looking for work? We understand this is a very unique situation, this pandemic. So answer it honestly, but however you answer really will not prevent you from getting paid your next benefit payment.
Okay. Look, this one seems to be more rhetorical, but Emery says, when will you have people answering phones again, or when will the website be functioning? Honestly, I got to tell you, a lot of people are saying, look, I hear what she's saying. She's saying we're really sorry and we feel for you, but really nothing is happening.
And I understand that. I understand the frustration. Unemployment's such a difficult time. What I can tell you is there's a lot going on.
All right,
and
Lori,
we're hanging there with us.
Hang on to that thought. We'll take it back on the air. All right, we are back with Lori Levy, spokesperson for EDD. Of course, we never left the conversation if you joined us over on our live streams. Lori, I want to ask you this. We do have some viewer complaints that when they reach somebody, actually, I'm going to go to this different one because they've reported that callbacks they're getting from specialists, some of the numbers look really strange, like they're private numbers. Are those legitimate? Do you have claimant specialists using their own cell phones, working from home?
Yeah, that was part of this whole pandemic response, part of the perfect storm, right? We had to suddenly get 8,000 people out working throughout the state in a telework scenario. So yes, we do have claimants, especially if you have a determination interview set up. We've sent you, we need to get some more information from you. It could be coming from a phone number, and from a government source, it could come up as blocked on some people's phones. But we did indicate something on that in our news release last week, that yes, please be available for those calls at that designated time we tell you. Mm-hmm. And basically the person will know will tell you what they're calling about, will know what your EDD customer account number is. So have faith that that is an EDD person.
Okay. I got to ask you, when the EDD asks for proof of ID, claimants must photocopy their documents, right, and mail them in. So at this point, look, shouldn't the website be able to accept that data instead of going by snail mail?
There is a lot of to-dos, a lot of high-level wish lists that we have here, and we're going through them as quickly as we can. We've made a number of different enhancements and continue to do so. And one of them that we actually hope to have operational sometime this summer is the ability to be able to upload documents. There's just only so much that we can add to the system at any one time with all the programming required. But this one is being taken care of, and hopefully it'll be ready for launch in sometime over the next several weeks.
All right. A lot of people hope so. Look, how much money, how many millions have been spent on website modernization? We know that is a priority, but when is it really going to get there where we have a system that meets today's needs at today's speed?
You know, this has been a very long process for us. And I can tell you that before the last Great Recession, at the time, we only got authorized to replace about a quarter of the whole unemployment insurance program available through online access. It's just so massive and so expensive. That's what got approved. And so it's kind of like a band-aided approach that we're working with. I can tell you in the last recession, we did not have our UI online system that we have today. And it has been a massive workhorse for us. It's really the only way we've been able to automatically process large volumes of claims and keep up with this massive demand. I mean, we've now gone ahead and processed 7.5 million claims in just a matter of 4 months. That is double what we did in the entire worst year of the Great Recession. So thankfully we have that UI online system. And right now we're working on a much more modernized system that'll also incorporate our disability insurance and our paid family leave insurance program and a much more modernized and flexible type of system. And we're getting ready to award that contract here pretty quickly.
All right. Hey, another viewer question here. Ilara Julie wants to know, I completed my portion of disability claim online. My doctor is not able to complete their portion online. I ordered a hard copy. Can you still send in a hard copy? If so, do I have to complete my portion again?
You know, I'd have to kind of look at the specifics of that particular claim. It's good to hear something about disability insurance. Disability insurance does require something from you and something from your physician that authorizes that as a medical certification as to that illness or injury or what have you associated with that claim. So yeah, we do have to get something from the doctor, and sometimes you can work with your physician in terms of how that information can get into us here at the EDD.
Okay. Lori, a lot of people are commenting also with similar stories to this one. This person says, my payments have been pending for 9 weeks now. I've called hundreds of times, and I finally got through to somebody who told me a specialist will call me back in 3 to 5 days. Well, that was 4 weeks ago. I've emailed several times and just keep being told that my account is pending and somebody will contact me. What more can I do?
You know, I understand that is extraordinarily frustrating, and it's an unfortunate situation that pending typically means that we have to have staff manually look at the circumstances of that claim. It's a little bit more complexity associated with it. We can't automatically get that processed. It most of the time has something to do with the way in which the questions were answered on your certification form. So I think what we've done here is we've redirected hundreds of staff to working these manual work queues. And we've even added some automation to those kind of work queues so that we can more expeditiously get through them. But typically pending means that you weren't qualified. There was some kind of eligibility issue. And I can tell you that there are two major things that seem to be holding people up unnecessarily. So what we have done is we've added into our UI online application, we're adding it right onto the application, the certification itself, telling you that here's what we mean during this COVID time on questions number 1 and 2. And both of them have to do with whether or not you are available to work if called upon. Question 1, were you too sick or injured to work? Question 2, were you available to accept work? And you really need to make sure you let us know that, yes, you are available to go back to work if called upon. Obviously, if that's the only reason that's preventing you from working right now through no fault of your own, you will not get penalized for that. But we want you to make sure, look for those tips in there. It's even in on our unemployment step-by-step guide on our website for how to guide you through the process of certifying. And hopefully these additional tips will help people.
All right, Laura, you're giving great, very in-depth answers, but because we have so many questions, let's try to rapid fire a few of these coming up. Okay, if you quit your job because you don't feel it's safe, can you still collect unemployment?
It all depends. It depends on what we call suitable work. So if a job happens to meet your particular background, occupational skill level, and it's considered safe by what the employer is offering you, you may not be eligible to collect unemployment benefit if it doesn't meet suitable work. So it really all kind of depends. We invite you to check out our website for more information.
All right, Karen Cross wants to know if taxes are taken out of that $600 PUC payment.
Unfortunately, we cannot take that out for you, but it is something that somebody should be prepared to do.
All right. To stop benefits, do you just stop certifying? I tried emailing, no response.
All you have to do is stop certifying. A claim is good for a year. Some people may start a claim, go back to work for a while, and have to return to it to any balance left there. Stop certifying, then all you have to do is reopen your claim later.
Okay. I cannot create an account. It says my email already exists. 3 years ago, I had an accident and applied for disability. Is that why?
It could be, because we come in and we have to check to make sure you are who you say you are. We have to check all the information you're giving us to make sure it matches with other information we have about you. That could be an issue. And again, that's something that you can go ahead and get some further information for on our website, how you can maybe go through Ask EDD to get some information, or go through that helpline that we were talking about earlier.
Okay, if I have 2 jobs and lost hours at both, can I open a claim for both jobs? If so, how?
It all kind of depends too on are those W-2 wages? In other words, were they both employers that you're working for, or was some of that a self-employment claim? So we have to look at how much did you have in your employer wages and whether or not that's enough to get you a regular UI claim. And if not, if all you have is self-employment wages, that's what we have to look at to get you a pandemic unemployment assistance claim.
All right, Timothy Asuncion has a situation. I'd like to know if that's true or not. He said if you're getting benefits, try not to get injured, because if you get injured and end up having to go on disability, then you can no longer get that extra $600. Is that right?
Well, the long and short of it is, if you're injured or you're sick and you're unavailable for work, you are required to be available to work. As soon as you're called upon, there's a job, but you have to return to your job, or there's a good job offer that makes suitable work options for you. So you have to be available. If you're not available, you could be disqualified from getting unemployment benefits. And if you're not getting any unemployment benefits, there's nothing we can tack on that extra $600 to.
All right, we're going to take a short break on the air, but we'll continue our conversation with Lori Levy on our live streams. All right, Lori, Benitez wants to know, I don't have childcare because of COVID, so I quit my job. Can I get unemployment for that?
It's quite possible. So if you've tried a number of different ways and there's no way that you can get any kind of normal child care for your situation, it's quite possible you could be eligible for unemployment benefits. And I would encourage someone to certainly apply in that situation.
Okay. Linda says, or Lindy Miller says, I filed my claim 16 weeks ago. I had to fax back to the Integrity and Accounting Division information needed over 4 weeks ago. Still no change. Talked to somebody on Monday. They put me on callback list and told me that I would receive a call within 72 hours. Still waiting. Just keep waiting.
It's hard for me to say what her situation might exactly be. What she's described there sounds like somebody is working on it and we'll get back to her. We're also now sending out text messages to let somebody know when we have been able to verify your identity with those documents. So look for that text message. We've sent out more than 5 million text messages already in the last several weeks. The other thing I would say is a lot of people are sending in their identity documents to the wrong address. Then therefore we have to search it out at different offices. So make sure you look at that notice and what that address is and get it to the right place.
Okay. I'd like you to, again, remind us of what kind of assistance is available. And specifically, let's talk about the extra $600 that are going to be ending soon, July 25th, without any additional action.
Right. So long and short of it, if you're eligible for a regular unemployment insurance claim, that's up to 26 weeks. And for any benefit that you get over that time, we will automatically add $600 to each week of benefits up through the week ending July 25th. And then if you run out of those benefits, you could be available for
Lori, hang on. We're coming back on air.
Okay.
All right, we are back with Lori Levy, spokesperson for California EDD, answering your questions about getting assistance. Real quickly, we started to talk about this over on our live streams during break, but people are still asking what happens now, and is my $600 going to stop coming after July 25th?
That is what we're required to do, because that money comes to us from the federal government, and it sunsets as of the week ending July 25th. So there is no more $600 that we can pay to anybody. So we are watching what happens in Congress very, very closely, and if anything occurs there in terms of a development, we'll certainly let everybody know.
What are some other avenues for assistance that people can consider to see, hey, could I qualify for this instead?
Really, all we can provide for you here is if you're unemployed through no fault of your own through this whole COVID pandemic, we have the options of a regular unemployment insurance program or the pandemic unemployment assistance program, mainly for those who are self-employed, business owners, independent contractors, and so forth. So those are the two offers that we have, and we can certainly look at your employment history, your wage information to see which one you could qualify for.
Okay. Here's a question. I work full-time in a salon, but also work a second job. Now my salon had to shut down due to COVID. I'm still still working my second job as an essential worker. Does this qualify me for EED or EDD and back pay?
Again, I'd have to look at the particular circumstances, where those wages independent contractor wages, were they W-2 employee wages. So that all kind of depends. I would encourage someone certainly to apply for benefits and then be ready to give us the various type of information about both jobs, what kind of wages those are, and then we can collect that information necessary to see if you could qualify for a regular UI claim or a pandemic unemployment assistance claim.
Okay. How about this one? How can I correct the dates on a week that I just certified for yesterday? I didn't realize the dates. I guess they got it wrong, and need to report my hours worked.
You know that there is certainly information that you can provide to us through our Ask EDD function. If it's some information that was on a biweekly certification, not quite sure what she's alluding to there, but if it's something that on your biweekly certification, you can certainly provide it to us through some other ways, through your UI online account or so forth. And then, of course, you'll get into your next biweekly benefit payment and that next biweekly certification.
All right. Robin wants to know, should we reapply in order to kind of reboot the pending status since nobody has ever contacted me? Would you advise that or no?
I would not advise that. That just simply kind of congests the system and could confuse things. So I would just say that that's the, if you have a particular question, look for your updates on the UI online account or certainly through the mail. And you should be hearing from us to be able to clear up any kind of pending status.
Okay. Magdalena wants to know, what is the difference really between PUI and PEUC?
PUI and PUC. I don't know what the PUI would be, but there is a difference between the $600 PUC stimulus payment and the 13-week extension, which is the PEUC. All these things came to us from the Federal CARES Act, and I know that they are definitely confusing to people. The $600 federal stimulus payment is set to end at the end of July. We've talked about that. And then the PEUC extension is set to end at the end of the year.
Okay. I got to ask you, I mean, given the situation and this commonality of people saying they simply can't get through, and you've already put out the call to hire more people, is there anything more you can do on your end to really get this process moving faster for people?
It truly is a combination. I mean, things are just well off the charts, more than anything we've ever seen in the worst of recessions. So we really are at this point where we really could use people's help. Help us help you. And for that situation, yes, we're expanding capacity very, very quickly. We're using automation. We're getting more staff. We continue to do that on a daily basis, evolving all the time. On the other end, if you can help us out by using those self-service tools as much as possible, you know, go to those, use those on the website. We are featuring top FAQs that we hear from customers every week on our website. Use that wherever possible. And a combination of those things will reduce the demand on our call centers and make it easier for people to get through who actually have to talk to somebody.
All right, Lori Levy, thank you. Always great talking to you. We're going to go over to our live streams right now, taking a break on the air. One last question about what the best hours are to call.
Best hours, obviously, to call are in the early morning hours or later into the evenings. We are available 8 to 8, and we'll continue to do everything we can to answer your calls.
Now, give us a sense for how long the wait times might be when you call during those, you know, off-peak hours versus peak hours.
Well, there's certainly reduced congestion in terms of repeat dials, so that definitely helps in terms of getting through, and it all kind of depends on the day and what's happening in that particular hour. I wish I had some more general information I can share, but it really all depends on what the traffic is at that moment.
Okay. I am trying to pull up some more questions. The issue is they're coming in so quickly before I can even finish digesting one of them. It jumps over to the next one. Here's one where the guy says, my wife has not gotten her UI check since May. When she tried to certify online, the site was down. So she filled out the mail-in. Now the website is saying there's nothing to certify, yet she's still getting the mail-in. How can we resolve this so she gets her checks again?
And again, I would have to kind of look at the specifics of that particular individual. You know, once you start online, it's advised to stay online, because if you switch to paper, then now we're going to have to go ahead and get you onto paper forms, which is a slower process. So I would just basically say that, use your online, definitely certify, follow the instructions for certifying, and make sure you access the help that we have available for you.
Okay, Marzita wants to know if I received a notice, or I did, notifying that my claim had expired, to open a new claim for PEUC to get 13 weeks extension. I've not reached $0 yet in my current claim. Am I supposed to wait until it reaches 0 to apply for a new claim, or does it automatically do it for me?
Yeah, the whole point is if you can get into extension once you exhaust everything that's available to you on your regular claim. So that's what we have to keep you on as long as you have a balance there. When that exhausts, then we can look at moving you into a pandemic emergency unemployment assistance claim, that PEUC extension. And if that exhausts, now we can move into seeing whether or not you can qualify for a Fed Ed extension.
All right, Lori Levy with California EDD, you have such a big job, and I appreciate you taking the time out to check in with us. Take good care. Talk again
Thank you.
soon.
You do the same.
That's going to do it for now. Thank you so much for joining us today on this interactive show, Getting Answers. To recap a question, we received a lot when it comes to extending the $600 PUC payment. They have to wait to see if Congress will pass any more bills to get more funding. As of now, when it ends July 25th, there will be no more additional payments. Take care. Thank you, Facebook friends. Thank you, Lori. We know it's not easy. Thank you for your time. Good to see you, everybody. Thanks for the great questions today. Good luck.